Good morning, endurance junkies. Matt Mosman, co-founder of EndurElite, maker of premium supplements for endurance athletes and endurance training and supplement experts. So I have a little bit of bad news, and I feel like I've been deceived for the past 15 years. Today I found out that the best part of waking up is not Folgers in your cup. I know, amazing, isn't it? What I did find out is the best part of waking up is brewing a nice cup of Keurig coffee, followed 60 minutes later by some PerformElite, followed by 30 minutes later by a nice run or ride. Now, I'm shooting this video today because I got a question yesterday asking me if it is okay to have coffee or other caffeine sources with PerformElite. But before I get to that and answer that question, and when I first got that email, I was like, who the hell would want to put PerformElite in a cup of coffee? That sounds absolutely disgusting. But then I thought, you know what? That might be the next big thing at Starbucks, like that unicorn. Could you imagine walking in, asking for a PerformElite infused mocha latte cappuccino with no foam? I don't think so. So back to the question. Can you take PerformElite with your cup of coffee? The short answer is yes, and thank God for that, because if somebody tried to take my coffee away in the morning, I would probably rip their face off. Now, there are some exceptions to taking PerformElite with coffee, and we'll talk about that. We're going to discuss caffeine timing really briefly, and then we're going to talk about the safe upper limit of caffeine on a daily basis. So when you look at a cup of coffee, you're looking at about 120 milligrams of caffeine. When you look at PerformElite, you have about 210 milligrams of caffeine. So total there, you're looking at about 330 to 350 milligrams of caffeine total. Now, this is completely safe. There's nothing to worry about for most. If you are sensitive to caffeine, I probably wouldn't take coffee in the morning before taking the PerformElite. But if you're like me and you have the caffeine tolerance of a 16-year-old who slams 4 monsters on a daily basis, this 320 milligrams of caffeine is not going to be a problem. But I would space it out a little bit, and we'll get to that in a minute. So if you've watched other videos on PerformElite, you'll know that the effective dose of caffeine to enhance endurance performance is anywhere from 3 to 6 milligrams per kilogram body weight. So for a 70 kilogram person like me, that equals about 210 milligrams of caffeine up to about 320 milligrams of caffeine. So you look at that, taking the scoop of PerformElite and having coffee before that, you're falling right in that range. Now, like I said, if you are sensitive to caffeine, or you're pregnant, nursing, or you're on other medications, I would definitely talk to your doctor first before consuming larger amounts of caffeine. So that total amount is okay, but like I said, I would space it out, and here's what I would do. If you're an early riser like me, I wake up at 5 o'clock. I'll have my first cup of coffee then. About an hour later, I will take PerformElite, and then about 30 minutes after that, I'll head out for my run or ride. Now, why is that? Research shows when you consume caffeine, it'll start to show up in blood about 15 to 30 minutes after that, and then reach peak concentrations after about 60 minutes. So the highest amount of caffeine in your blood will be after 60 minutes. So that's how you kind of want to time caffeine, and specifically PerformElite, is take it about 30 minutes before exercise. So when you do go out for a run or a ride, or if you're an obstacle course racer, jumping through walls of fire, man, seriously, you guys are badasses. That's the appropriate timing. Beyond that, if you have coffee in the morning and the EndurElite PerformElite in the morning, after that, you probably could still have more caffeine if you wanted to. The safe upper limit, and not that I would do this, is about 1,000 milligrams of caffeine a day. But you get to that point and you go above the recommended 3 to 6 milligrams of caffeine per kilogram body weight, you may experience a little bit of anxiousness, jitteriness, possibly some nausea, things of that nature. So there's definitely a bell curve relationship with the amount of caffeine and how it affects endurance performance, and then how it affects overall well-being. So there you have it. Definitely okay to take PerformElite with your coffee and other caffeine sources. Just space it out throughout the day. Like I said, have your cup of coffee first thing in the morning, take PerformElite about 1 hour later, and then after that, if you need to have a cup of afternoon coffee, that's perfectly fine too. I should touch on one more thing. Let's say you're involved in a longer duration race, like a 50 to 100 mile mountain bike race, or ultra trail run, or a long obstacle course race. Definitely take your PerformElite per usual 30 minutes before you start the race. After that, you can have an additional serving of PerformElite about every 5 to 6 hours after that. What's kind of cool is with PerformElite, you have an extended release caffeine in there called Pure Energy. So unlike regular caffeine anhydrous, which its half-life is about 6 hours, meaning it's the caffeine found in your blood system is about half of the levels when you first consumed it. So if you started with 300 milligrams, 6 hours later, about 150 milligrams of caffeine will be left in your system. But with the PerformElite and the caffeine anhydrous combination, the half-life of caffeine is extended by about 2 hours or so. But back to my point I wanted to make, if you're doing a longer race or a training session, you're more than okay to take PerformElite a second dose after 4 to 5 hours, and every 4 to 5 hours after that. So that's it for today. Stay focused, stay fueled, stay fast. Until next time.